Hi, I'm Sally McCrae, and today I want to share with you 5 things that I learned in racing the Grand Slam of 200s. Now, will I ever do a 200-mile race again? The answer is yes. I don't know when, but I already have been thinking in my mind about all the ways that I could run it better, faster, and just improve on my overall performance. And that always gets me really excited. That idea of always believing that I can be better and that I can improve has helped me throughout my career to keep working hard. This first one is very important, and I feel like it's important in every aspect of life, but especially in the 200-mile distance. I'd say overall, just in ultras in general, and that is our mind is the most powerful tool that we own. Training my mind, not only in training, but learning how to use my mind in races to overcome obstacles, and in my personal experience, to overcome a lot of physical pain and discomfort was very powerful for me. And it showed me that I am capable of more than maybe I initially perceive. By the time I got to the last race, I remember standing at the start line and thinking, I've been through so many different scenarios. I've experienced so much different types of discomfort. I am ready for whatever this race has for me. I know that whatever I feel out there, that I can overcome it and still get to the finish line. You know, if we have this positive mindset and we have a hopeful mindset and we do believe that we are strong enough to overcome, to figure things out, to keep going, what we are then capable of is so much more than we can even perceive. If I start to get negative, or if I'm discouraged, frustrated, disappointed, those feelings, they take a lot of power away from me, and they take a lot of energy from me, and it sets me into a spiral of just negative thinking. And then I start to not believe that it's possible to keep moving forward. And so when I was competing in these 200s, I started to really understand that if I had a strong mindset, if I chose to find the strongest pathway in every situation, no matter what that was, that it was a game changer. I would do different things in training that would set me up for success in difficult situations and races. And so what I mean by that is, you know, if I were to get on a bike and not listen to music, not have any, outward social stimulation, but the goal was just to listen to the thoughts that were going on in my mind. How do I talk to myself? What do I believe about myself? How am I working through the mundane minutes on this bike? And I learned a lot about myself and the power of speaking to ourselves in a positive way and staying hopeful and understanding that with every step that I took, I was getting closer to my goal, regardless of how I was feeling. And so the mind is so much more powerful than the feelings. And so it was focusing on the strength of mind and how I could achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve. And taking that into every single race was like a superpower for me. The second thing that I learned in racing 200s was that gear is so important to the success of your race, to being prepared, ready for whatever terrain or weather that you hit. However, what is equally important is organization and keeping things simple. What my gear pile looked like in Cocodona 250 compared to what it looked like in the last race, Moab 240, was entirely different. And by that, there was a couple things. Cocodona 250, I had exponentially more gear because I'd never run a 200-mile race, and because my goal was to learn as much as possible. So going into Cocodona 250, I was watching YouTube episodes, I was reading blogs and talking to people and any social posts that I could find, and really looking at, okay, what's the gear that I need? Now, obviously in 200-mile distances, there's a lot of required gear that you have to carry with you at all times. So being prepared to carry a heavy pack is very important. However, what I learned was I don't necessarily need as much stuff as I think I do. I need just the basics, and those basics can be simplified. And that's key if you are planning on having crew. If you're not using crew, that's key when you are packing drop bags for the aid stations. But also, I knew that whenever I was running, let's say I'm running into the night at 2 a.m., I knew exactly where everything was in my pack because I kept it organized in the exact same way for every single race. And that was really crucial just as far as saving time, but just the confidence that it gave me. And then for my crew, I kept things really simple for them too. I understand that the better you know yourself and how you operate, the better organized that you can be, the quicker you can be through aid stations, the quicker that you can just move through terrain. And when surprise weather comes in, you're prepared for it. But all of us are different. So I think it's important to learn that in your long runs. So on my long runs, I practiced with a lot of different gear, different nutrition. And as those races went on, I just got better at knowing exactly what I needed, what was necessary, and then started to weed out what was unnecessary. All right, number 3, the third thing that I learned racing 200s is that your feet are very important. And if you don't take care of your feet, it can, if you let it destroy your race. In my personal experience, I had the most horrific foot problems that I've ever had in my career. And in being candid, I should share that I've been racing ultras for almost 15 years and I've never had foot problems. It was very surprising and humbling to experience the foot issues that I had at Cocodona 250, but because my feet were essentially ripped up, all of those wonderful calluses and tough skin was stripped away by the end of that race. I knew that if I was going to choose to continue to complete the Grand Slam, that my feet would be an issue. Ultimately, the biggest problem that I dealt with was what happened at Cocodona 250, then became more of a domino effect for the rest of the race. Now, you know, the physical pain brought a lot of frustration for me personally, especially as a competitor, because I knew that I wasn't able to perform in the way that I wanted to. I couldn't move at the pace that I wanted to because I was always battling this discomfort. And sometimes that discomfort led to me limping and hobbling a little bit. So I learned a lot in the 200s about what we as humans are able to endure if we choose it. I did have a couple moments after Cocodona 250 where I thought, maybe I'll just do Cocodona 250 and then next year I'll attempt the Grand Slam because I really want to do it well. But the choice that I made to continue on in the Grand Slam was about choosing to do the best with what I had at that given moment, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And if this is my one shot, how good can I be even when I'm not feeling great, even when it hurts, even when it's hard? If you are looking to embark on a 200 and you do hit that point of physical discomfort, or you're just dealing with something that is so uncomfortable for you, that's your own personal choice. That's your own personal decision to continue on or to take a break and say, okay, I'm gonna try this again another time. Because whether we succeed or we fail, we're still learning. And we can always come back to the drawing board and continue on. But if you choose to push through something, you are gonna learn a lot about yourself. And one of the things that I learned was that, wow, we are able to endure so much more than we think we can. The fourth thing that I learned about racing 200s this year was how rare this distance still is. So much so that, yes, if you are choosing to do a 200, you're gonna get a lot of public opinion and you're gonna get a lot of critics and a lot of people weighing in on the distance. So while you're gonna have people call you crazy, I say that you're actually courageous. And you know, it isn't until someone achieves something that we as humans realize, like, oh my gosh, if that person can do it, then I can do it too. Now 200s have been around, I'd say like for a decade now, maybe longer than that, which still isn't very long, but it is still a relatively new distance that we're trying to learn how to train in. We're learning how to race them properly. How do you fuel for it? How do you figure out the sleep? And there's a lot of variables that go into completing these races that are very different from running a 50K or even a 100 miler. This is not the same as a 100-mile race. And so what I learned as I moved through the 200s is I knew I was gonna get a lot of questions, a lot of opinions, a lot of people weighing in. I'm still getting that, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy engaging with the running community about what we are all capable of doing. And so focusing on that journey of completing 200 miles, it is a very courageous act. And so you're gonna get a lot of people that are gonna weigh into how crazy that sounds. But I think unlike focusing just on the 200-mile distance, focus on what is possible as humans. Focus on the fact that we, on our own 2 feet, can travel really far. And we are able to endure so much for multiple days on little calories with a lot of discomfort and still get to a finish line. That is what is so amazing about the 200-mile distance and beyond. I mean, I know there's like 300-mile races now. So it's a very exciting time for this distance because we are able to uncover even more what we are capable of doing. All right, number 5. See, the cool thing about the 200-mile distance is that you have 5-6 days to finish these races. And because of that, you're able to really take your time and work through situations that maybe you normally aren't able to work through in shorter distances. So if you're thinking like a marathon where the cutoff time is 7 hours, what I found to be so valuable in these races is that you are able to learn how to work through unideal situations and continue on. And I think that's an incredible lesson for life, because so often, you know, when things go wrong in life, it's really easy to throw in the towel and just think, well, this hasn't been successful for me, you know, 1, 2, 3 times, and so I'm done with this, or maybe I'm not cut out for it, or, you know, I'm not good enough. But in these races, you have enough time to be able to work through things and show yourself what you're actually capable of doing. And if you can just discipline yourself to not give up too early, to be okay with the fact that there will be setbacks, that you are going to be uncomfortable, you're going to set yourself up for success. Looking back on all the races, I'm really grateful for that. I think that gave me a newfound confidence of what I'm able to work through if I'm patient, if I understand that, you know, that the challenges or things that seem like they're failures or those uncomfortable situations, it's really easy to look at those and just think it's all negative and really put that negative mindset on, or get down on yourself and think I'm not good enough, or I screwed up, or I failed. But when in fact, they're just situations that need solutions. And so I learned a lot about what it takes to find solutions in the most unideal situations. But now I get to apply that to my life. All right, thank you for watching. Those are my top 5 things that I learned in racing the Grand Slam of 200s. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a superhuman. There's nothing special about me that separates me from you and your ability to run 200s. It's just putting in the work and making sure that that mind is full of belief, because if I can do it, you can do it too.